Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. It is Wednesday, October 18th, 2023. We get together with our distribution partners most weekday mornings at this time, 8 o'clock Central. We talk about strategies, tips, techniques, share success stories, and support each of you. We have, I think, an important topic to bounce off of you, and that's exactly what it is. We're asking your opinion. We've been listening, we've been monitoring, we've been observing those of you that are very successful, and there's a good number of you, and frankly, some of you are struggling. And so we wanted to bring forth an additional resource, no cost to you, of course, that would be the equalizer. So let's go through this, and then we're really looking for your feedback if you think this would be helpful, or frankly, if it's not needed. So our agenda topic is setting up a business briefing. So we're going to have a discussion of that concept, and I'll describe exactly what that means. I did send each of you a reminder this morning for today's training that had the agenda attached. So I think most of you, maybe all of you, are our branch offices, which is awesome. So thank you for being in that leadership role. You're obviously positioned to earn a great income by helping others, and you have a couple different arrows in your quiver. The credit and funding continues to grow and thrive. But the business startup program is frankly what's often needed more than anything else. Because if a client is coming to you or a prospect is coming to you, and if their goal is to get business funding, then they need to have a credible business. Now, they might have one. I'm not here to say that they don't. They may very well, but many of them don't. And so no matter how strong they are personally or not so strong, if the business isn't strong, we've got a real problem. And so that's where the business startup program fits in, but we'll continue to dig into this. So there's been some of you that have just explicitly asked for more support, specifically in explaining the value proposition. So, we all have strengths and weaknesses, you, me, everyone. So that's okay. We need to recognize our strengths and weaknesses. And if we don't have a strength, we either need to seek to improve it or maybe to delegate that task or those tasks to someone else that's stronger at it. So explaining what we do to the prospect is important. Now, we can provide flyers or replicated websites or what have you, but the truth is most people want to talk to someone before they sign up, or at least before they pay. Some will sign up without talking to anyone, but they may not pay. So the human interaction is important. Now, I know many of you are built around systems and processes and efficiency, but we're talking about people. We're talking about money, and most people want to talk to someone before they send their money in. Now, if you're good at talking to them, then keep doing it, right? You'll know. Look at your numbers. If you're doing a deal a day or about a deal a day, it's not broken. But some of you aren't doing that. And I say this very respectfully because, again, I'm far from perfect, but some of you, even just talking to on the phone, I can't imagine that some of you are generating confidence in the prospect's eye based upon how you communicate. So what we're offering to do is, regardless if you're an effective communicator or not, regardless if you're busy or not busy, we're willing to essentially do the pitch for you. And that's what we're getting to here. So what we're asking for your feedback, we've not decided to do this. I'm bringing it to you today on Wednesday, October 18th, to get your feedback to see if you think it would help. But what we're considering doing is setting up daily Zoom-based business briefings. This is where you would send your prospects, and we're going to explain to the prospects how the program works, and we're going to answer their questions. So instead of you needing to do that, or instead of you needing to train your sales team to do that, we would do that. Now, if you're a branch, you would still close them if you wanted the 50-50 split. Or if you don't want the 50-50 split, you could just generate the lead. We'll pitch it and we'll close it, and then you'll still get paid, but you'll get paid the $250 instead of the 50-50 split. So this is the introductory paragraph of why we're here right now having this discussion. We know we have a valuable resource. We know you can make a lot of money, but some of you have explicitly, and some of you have more made inferences that you would like more help in having us explain the proposition to your prospects. So let's review the facts, and then we'll get down to how I think the business briefing would work, and then at any point looking for your feedback. So the first fact that we know is that the value proposition of the business startup program is good. I mean, it's a really strong value proposition. If you don't see it that way, I guess maybe it's my failure to convey that, but I think it's probably an unawareness of what's needed for a business to become fundable and how great of a job that we're meeting those needs. So in fact, if this is explained correctly, if what we do is explained correctly, most people feel stupid to say no. Literally. Now, if they have a problem, right? Because what's business all about? Solving problems. You all know I'm a cancer patient. So I go for cancer therapy every 3 weeks, $20,000 every 3 weeks. Well, you know, I'm very motivated to do that for obvious reasons. If I didn't have the problem, then it wouldn't be relevant. Same here. So I'm not saying that everyone would feel stupid if they didn't enroll in the business startup program, but I'm saying that entrepreneurs that want business funding that don't have a credible business would pretty much always say yes if they understood the program properly. So if you're not getting a high close percentage, I suspect, well, there's only one of two things that's wrong. Either you're explaining it inadequately, no offense meant, or you don't have the right prospects. Those are the only two variables, because the program is solid. Because what we do is it's a turnkey resource to help form a new business position for fast funding. That's the deliverable, if you will. We know who our target market is. If you think back, and many of you have MBAs like myself, so if you think back to your strategy course or maybe even your marketing course in your MBA program, you know, we understand how important it is to have an identified target market. You cannot effectively or efficiently sell to everyone. You can't do it. There's too many everyone's, and then you don't seem relevant. So what we need to do is know who our target market is. Now, you can refine it even tighter, but in general, our target market, it would be home-based businesses, which is easily identifiable, but we'll get back to that point in a moment, and businesses that want funding, but they're not credible. So this is who we help with the business startup program: home-based businesses and businesses that are not credible for funding. You could argue that there's a third element, which would be pre-formation businesses. So in other words, someone that has an idea, they haven't even formed a business yet, and they're jumping right into this as a first step. But that's very hard to pick up on, right? You and I could go down to the shopping mall. We see hundreds or thousands of people walking around. How many of them are thinking about forming a business? How many of them want to form a business? We wouldn't know within that general audience. But home-based businesses, that's tracked. We had a recent training on Data Axle, used to be called Sales Genie. You can get a free trial membership. You can go on there and you can filter on geographic areas, by industry, but also by home-based businesses. These are super easy to track because they have either formed a DBA / sole proprietorship, a LLC, Corp, or S Corp. So they're filed somewhere with a government agency, and they've denoted that they have a home-based business. So we can identify them easily. So that's our lowest hanging fruit. The second category of our target market, businesses that want funding that are not credible, well, you don't necessarily know that. Now, we know if they're home-based, they're not credible for funding, but this is going to require a bit more dialogue. So, again, going back to your MBA course, is probably in your strategy or in your marketing course, you probably learned a term that is called the Grand Slam offer. Grand Slam. And if you remember, I forget the originator of that concept, but he used a baseball analogy. So let's say that you and I are baseball players, and I'm not a good baseball player and don't really follow it much, but I know we're in the playoffs. So, but let's say that you and I are baseball players, and so we're going up to the bat. We got the bat in our hands. The pitcher is throwing pitching the pitch to us, throwing the ball towards us, and we swing. Ultimately, what we would like to do is hit a home run. That would be the best case scenario, right? Because no one can catch it. It's going out of the park. We get to go all the way around. And then whomever is on base on our team, when we bat, we push them through too, so they score. Of course, a grand slam is when the bases are loaded. So you already have a teammate on first, second, and third. You hit a home run, 4 points are scored. That's the most possible points that could be earned in a baseball game with one swing of the bat. So a grand slam offer is like the best case scenario. That's the analogy. So what makes, and this is so important that you understand this, and frankly, you agree with it. And if not, that's okay. We can have dialogue. But if you agree that it's a grand slam offer for these reasons, then we should be able to close a lot of people, help a lot of people, and you make a boatload of money. So what makes it a grand slam offer? We can't just give it a label and say, oh, yes, and move on. We need to defend it. We need to provide evidence. We need to provide facts of why it is a grand slam offer. Well, number one, there is what's called a high price to value discrepancy. That's a little confusing, but what it means is from what is being charged, how good is what they get? And so we know that the normal pricing for the startup program is $2,500. You keep half and we get half. We do all the work, so it's great for you, but that's not the point. $2,500 is what the client pays, and that can be financed, but we'll leave that out of the discussion for a moment. So is it worth $2,500 to the client? Is there a high price to value discrepancy? Or are they kind of, because that's why people buy things, right? You believe that what you're getting is worth more than what you're paying for it. You go to a hot dog stand, and the hot dog, I don't know what a hot dog sells for now, $3.50. It's not free. It's not free, but it's $3.50. So in your mind, probably if you're hungry, especially, that you're willing to give up $3.50 to buy the hot dog, then you give them your money and get the hot dog. With this, we're providing them an immediate $10,000. So now we're already high above the $2,500, but we're also going to provide them access to 6 digits, which means 100,000 or more. And we know the Chapman Fund goes up to 250,000, but we're going to provide them access to a lot of funding within a short period of time. So for the business startup program to be considered a grand slam offer, there's a number of variables that it needs to meet, and one of which is it needs to have a high price to value discrepancy. It absolutely has that. But if you're not describing that well enough, then the prospect might not realize it. And all they hear is $2,500. Oh my goodness. But it's a no-brainer, right? It's a no-brainer from an economic perspective on that first bullet alone. We're not done yet, but on that first bullet alone. But let's continue. There's no risk to the client, and that's another required element. If you pull out your textbook from your MBA program and you flip to whatever chapter you learned about grand slam offers, there's certain requirements that has to be for this to be just the best of the best. Now, there's other industries and other businesses and other pitches, I understand, but we're talking about in your and my world with small business finance. So we have a high price to value discrepancy. It's quantifiably worth a whole lot more than they pay for it. There's no risk to the client. We have no direct competition. Now, the business startup program has a number of elements, right? We provide them a free commercial address. Are there other places they could get an address? Yes. Would they have to pay for it there? Yes, we provide it for free. Then we help them file with the Secretary of State for free. We pay for it. So are there other places, or could they file for themselves? Sure. Would it be free? No. Then we help them get their EIN, help get their business bank account open, and then we help them go add trade lines under their EIN so the business is business credit worthy. In other words, building their Paydex score with Dun & Bradstreet and their Intella score with Experian Business, for example. Are there competitors that do that? Yes, there are. Do they do it free? No. Some are cheap, some are expensive. So there are competitors for some of these elements, but we're still going. So we're going to provide them the address. We're going to provide the formation, get the EIN, get the business bank account, build out the business credit worthiness. And then they also have geographic access to the Chapman Fund. We've talked about this before. Now, they don't have to only go to the Chapman Fund for funding, but the Chapman Fund is from a taxing authority, which provides a minimum of 30, a maximum of 250,000 to start or grow a business. But the business has to be in that domiciled in that area to be able to access the tax-based funding. So there are no other direct competitors of the breadth of what we offer. Another requirement, again, these aren't my requirements. We're going back to what does it take to be considered a grand slam offer? You must have easy to target prospects. There's many businesses that fail, not because what they do is not valuable, not because what they do is not profitable, but they just can't find their prospects. And I apologize in advance for saying this. Some of you, not most of you, but some of you, probably not you individually, but I'll generalize it. Some of our branches seem to be unable to find prospects, despite the dramatic need for funding for small businesses. So if you don't have a good pipeline, you don't have prospects to reach out to, then you'll probably fail. You've got to solve that. No matter how good everything else is that you offer, you have to have a lead funnel. And for us, again, right here, I mean, there is no better pool of prospects for any business, for any offering than what you and I have with home-based businesses. Why? Why is that? Well, if we know they're home-based, we know they don't have a commercial address. And if they don't have a commercial address, we know they're not credible for any measurable amount of business funding. And we know that most small businesses would desire more funding to start or grow. So this is the golden nugget right here, because again, you can go to Sales Genie, used to be called, or Data Access used to be called Sales Genie, and you can look up and identify home-based businesses in your zip code, in your city, your county, your state, or all across the country. Are these the only people we can help? Of course not, but that is a very easy target audience to reach out to. Another element, according to the author of Grand Slam Offers, is that you must have a market, which to us, you and I would mean small business owners, who are in desperate need with massive pain. Now, that's a strong statement, right? Because like you and I could go open a new restaurant, and we have competition. So you could have a less than ideal scenario, but what you and I are discussing is what does it take for it to be a grand slam offer, the best of the best? Well, I can tell you there are a lot of small businesses out there that have a desperate need for money to start or grow, and they're feeling pain because they don't have that money. So we can check this box. There's plenty of small businesses that desperately need money and are feeling pain because they don't have it. Also, for a Grand Slam offer, we must have an affordable and easy to understand pricing model. Now, I'll come back to the available financing in a second. But you know, our standard pricing for the business startup program is $2,500. You get half, we get half, we do all the work. There's no back end charges, there's no performance fee, there's no hidden costs. That's it. It's affordable and easy to understand. Now you might push back and say, whoa, Tom, you may think it's affordable. What if it's not affordable to the prospect? Well, there's two responses to that. One of which is we do have available financing, but if you're selling to broke people, you're going after the wrong target market. Broke people are probably going to be your highest maintenance clients. They're going to be the least satisfied, and they're going to be the least likely to stick with it. So with anything, right? What's an example? Rolex watches. I don't have a Rolex watch, but I always thought about, man, it'd be so nice to have a Rolex watch. What's it, 10,000 or more? So can everyone afford a Rolex watch? No. So in anything in a capitalistic society, not everyone can afford everything. I can't afford a mansion. I can't afford a Ferrari. In our case, we're looking for home-based businesses and or businesses that are not credible for funding, that want funding, but have the ability to pay, because it's not free. We have to move away from this concept that things should be free in life. Most things are not free in life. That's not the way the economic system works. You and I don't need to apologize for that. Have you ever had a client that signed up and then you invoice them and they're like, I have to pay for this? Well, yeah, you have to pay for this. That's the way that the economy works, right? Whatever service, product, or good that they're offering, they probably sell to their clients. So don't get caught in the trap of, well, if it's not free, it's a scam. That's absolute BS. That's financial illiteracy to think that if you charge for it, it's bad. Think of how many things in life are not free. Most things in life are not free. So we have an affordable and easy to understand pricing. Now, some of you, like Audrey and others, are adding a performance fee on the back end. And if you want to do that, you have the ability to do that. Because what do? We provide you an editable version of the client agreement for the business startup program. And through your branch, you can change it if you want. And so if you want to add a performance fee, you can. Is that bad? No, nothing wrong with it. Makes it a little bit less clear, or a little bit more complicated, I should say, but that's okay. And that'll increase your profitability, of course. We wrestled with even if we want to offer financing for this or not, because now it increases the complexity. But some people need the financing, so we do have that available. When you go to the ChapmanLoanProgram.org website, under the resources on the right-hand side, there's a link. And anyone that needs financing, that's the link for them to fill out. And then lastly, this is a Grand Slam offer because it generates immediate income to you. Immediate income to you, plus the ability to cross-sell the client. So we're going to break that down into 2 points. There's nothing better than immediate income. Any of you that sell insurance, I used to be insurance licensed, and you write up a policy. In some cases, you have to wait for underwriting. Sometimes they have to go request medical records. There's insurance agents that starve waiting, figuratively, waiting for it to pay out because there's a long lead time. There's lots of industries, a lot of things that you can do where you have to wait to get paid. And I'm not saying that's bad, but what's better is paid today. Paid today. And those of you that are embracing the business startup program, you're enjoying those rewards. Those clients are paying you today, now. So that is a definite benefit and meets the criteria of a Grand Slam offer. Of course, that's a benefit to you versus to the client. The client benefits are the first bullets. Let's go back to the second half of this. There is nothing wrong, I think, in my opinion, or in general consensus, that if you have a client and then they have other problems that you can solve, you can help solve them. So we've got Terrence on here. I believe Terrence is on. Let me scroll down. We've got so many names. Yeah, Terrence here. CPA. So is there anything wrong with Terrence, or one of our CPAs we work with, that if they're working with a client that he offers to prepare their taxes or provide other services? No, there's nothing wrong with it. Is there anything wrong with Eric? Eric's on the call. He's an insurance agent. Is there anything wrong with Eric using this as a door opener then to do a needs analysis and identify if the individual has proper asset protection? In other words, if they need insurance? No, absolutely not. Some of you really like the credit and funding program. So is there anything that prevents you from taking these clients that have enrolled, helping assess and determine would they benefit also from the credit and funding? No, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not bait and switch. It's just helping provide more services, provide more solutions to more problems. So meaning you and I, what we have is an incredible opportunity. And this isn't some BS rah-rah speech. You and I literally have an offering that meets all of the criteria for a grand slam offer. And there's very few opportunities, very few propositions in the marketplace that meets all of these bullets, but you and I have that. So with that being said, well, let me pause. So we're going to get into the business briefing concept, but first we needed to review the facts so we're all on the same page. Does anyone have comments or feedback on the facts? If you want to call BS on any of them, it's fine. If you disagree, if you agree. Brenda says it's a no-brainer. Thank you, Brenda. Anyone have any concerns or comments here? Okay, so let's move on to, we'll just scroll down to the bottom of the page, but let's talk about what we're asking for your feedback for. So here's my pitch to you, and it didn't cost you anything, so I'm not trying to get you to buy anything or sign any contracts or anything like that, but what we're considering doing is starting to have a daily Zoom webinar. So this would be for your prospects. Now you're welcome to attend it as well, of course. But what we would be doing is explaining the value proposition of the business startup program. So we're becoming we're going to give the pitch for you. So you would generate the leads, or you can go get leads, from Data Axle. We've talked about that, but you're essentially, you would be inviting people to the daily Zoom. We're going to keep it brief, and then we're going to explain how the program works. We're going to talk more about what's included, but we do want the prospects, the attendees of the Zoom, to walk away with this understanding. It's a great deal. We want them to feel stupid if they say no. Now, we're not going to be mean or unprofessional. I'm not saying that. But if they understand this and they have a problem, they're not going to find a better solution. There's not a better solution if they have a problem. What's the problem? They don't have a credible business for funding. That's the problem. So what we would do is, as I stated here, we'll do the pitch. You close the prospect, you still make the same money. So let's describe the sales process as 3 steps. Lead generation, who does that? You. Second step, pitch. We're proposing to do that. Third, the close. You could either do that or defer to us. If we do it, if we do the close, then you're making $250. If you do the close, it's the 50-50 split. Questions, comments on that? Okay, Adam has a question. Yes, it's going to be interactive. Absolutely. And this goes back. Thank you, Adam. You triggered the thought I was searching for. So we're going back to the point. This may be too strong, but I'm going to stick with it. Most people are not going to sign up if they don't talk to someone first, or if they do sign up, they're not going to pay the invoice. And that's bad. People want to talk to someone. Well, there's only so much time in the day. So what we're proposing is to talk to all of your people at once. In other words, have a daily Zoom. We'll pitch it. And yes, we will answer their questions. That was Adam's question. So while they didn't have a one-on-one discussion, they heard the pitch live, not canned, and then any and all questions or concerns they have, we're going to address them at that time. So you don't have to. Now, you're going to have to decide, do you want to close the deal, or if you don't want to close the deal, we'll close it. So obviously, who knows, they might have a question remaining before they sign and before they pay. But in general, we should be vetting through most of it. So wrapping it up, what are the benefits to you of this proposed concept that we're discussing? No cost to you. We're not asking you to pay anything more, anything different. There's just no cost to you. Second, it'll save you time, because I do believe that most people are going to want to talk to someone. Now, if you have the time and the ability and the willingness to talk to them one-on-one, that's fine. But here, what you could say is, well, great, I'm glad you got questions. I'm glad that you have interest. We do a daily Zoom, and we'll figure out the schedule and those details, but you would provide that to them. And then you could either be on that Zoom or not. So when I say saves your time, not only do you have to give the pitch over and over, we'll give the pitch over and over, granted to groups of people, and you could be on the Zoom or not. I would attend at least once so you hear how we pitch it, but you definitely wouldn't need to be on it. So this is very effective for those of you that are building a sales team, because there's a difference. You know this, right? Or if not, you need to know this. And I don't mean to be too demanding in saying this, but there's a difference between building a sales team that can go generate prospects and building a sales team that can close deals. So there's lead generation and there's closers. Well, and you're still going to be responsible for the lead generation, but the closing is what takes the greater skill set, the greater confidence, the greater competence. I'll tell you one of my most frustrating moments when I talk to some of our sales partners, branches or otherwise, and they say, well, I can't really sell this because everyone's saying, has it worked for me? Well, that means that they're not able to convey to the client the value proposition. And so the prospective client, the prospect. And so all the prospect can do is say, I don't really fucking understand. Let's see how it works out for you. Can you imagine me going to my oncologist? I've got stage 4 cancer. You know that. So I go to my oncologist and say, well, has this worked for you? Have you gone through this once every 3-week training where you're going to pump chemicals into me for $20,000? Have you done this, Dr. Yimmer? Because if not, I don't know that I want to do it. No. He has an expertise. He's saving my life. You have an expertise in getting money for small businesses. So if the main objection you're getting is, and forgive me for saying this, you don't seem credible to your prospects, you've got to move out of the way and just link them into our model versus them looking at you and saying that they don't believe you. So the point here is, this is great for those of you that are building a sales team, because you'll still need to drive people in, but they don't need to be able, all they need to do is introduce to the Zoom. They don't have to pitch the value proposition. The end goal is to help you close more leads and make more money. We talk about this and maybe you buy into it, maybe not. But our true goal, our passion, our focus is to help every one of you who are a branch office generate at least $100,000 a month. That's our focus. That's what we want to have happen. And that should be happening for all of you. And if it's not, we either don't have good lead flow, or we don't have good closing, or there's some variable that's missing. This is not a divergence away from the credit and funding program, right? So the clients are, we talked a minute ago or a few minutes ago, that clients might have other needs as well. This doesn't take that away, but you know how much easier it is to help. Well, let me even phrase it more directly. Do you know how much easier it is to sell something to a client than it is to a stranger? So if you started with the business startup program, then once they're in, do some sort of needs analysis, whether it be Eric for insurance, Terrence for CPA services, or Brenda for credit and funding. And then you can help them with more things once they're in. And so you cumulatively should be making $100,000 a month as a branch, and that's what we're trying to do with this resource, is help you accomplish that. So what's the next step? Let us know if you think having the Zoom-based business briefings where we describe the program would help you make more money. If there's enough interest, we'll implement. So with that being said, let's go through some of your questions. I'm sorry for running long. Audrey had the question a while back, about 30 minutes ago, in fact. So she's saying if they finance. So let's talk about financing. So there's a link for the financing on the Chapman Loan Program. It's not hidden, right? It's on there. It's under the resource tab underneath the contact us. They can fill that out and we'll go get them financing offers. So it's third-party financing, right? It's through banks or credit unions, alternative lenders. They get the financing and then you get paid and we get paid. So that's how it works. If I missed your point, let me know. Yeah, Adam's bringing up a good point. He's brought up a time or two. Please don't get confused, and please don't confuse clients. So I don't actually have it brought up on this page, but if you go to the ChapmanLoanProgram.org landing page, you'll see what we offer to do. And it's described clearly on the website. There's a link to the agreement that clearly describes it, which we've gone through in some of our trainings. There's a little video there that describes it. So that's what we promise to do. And so this is key to making sure we're on the same page. If it's not listed there, then we didn't promise to do it. And I'll say this, and it's kind of distasteful, but to me it's kind of funny. You know, usually our biggest adversaries, the people that hate us or don't like us, that are dissatisfied, is because they expected something different. They wanted something different. Now, we didn't offer to do something different. So let's say that they say, well, I want a back massage. Well, no, we didn't offer a back massage. That's not part of what we offer. You know, back massage sounds nice, but it's not what we're doing. It's not in the agreement. It's not what we said. Well, damn it, I want a back massage. Well, that's not what we're doing here. It's not what we promised to do. Well, if you don't give me a back massage, I'm going to go complain. Well, I guess you got to go complain then, because we didn't promise to give a back massage. So that's a bit hyperbole, exaggeration. But the point is, the business startup program is incredibly clear and, in my mind, easy to understand, both value proposition and pricing. So you all can pepper me with a million different questions. Does it include a pencil sharpener? No, we didn't say that. Does it include make up anything? Does it include short-term disability finding insurance? No, I mean, if it's not listed, it's not there. So just be clear on that. Adam brings up another good point. Now, so the concept here is we're going to do a Zoom if you all want us to, and you can refer people to it if you want. But you need to have some system of knowing who you're referring in. You need to follow up with them, right? Because that's not our job. Because you're still making 50-50. We're just taking the pitch. We're not taking the whole management of your lead funnel. So yeah, so I mean, we'll tell them. We haven't done this yet, but I would assume we'd say, yeah, we'll get back with whomever had referred you if you have any other questions or to get started. I mean, we'll say that, but ultimately you would need to follow up with them. Denise says she likes the idea. Brenda's asking, when will it begin? I don't know if it will begin. I'm asking you all if it's something that would be of value to you. Sally says she thinks it's great. The question we're getting is, are we going to do the same thing for credit and funding, a business briefing? I think no. I really think that we should start, and it's up to you. If you all want to go to the marketplace with credit and funding first, that's fine. And there's a lot of people that have a desperate need for money and they have pain, and it's primarily driven from personal credit issues. So credit and funding is good, it's strong, it's staying, it's not going anywhere. But I think from the focus that most of us have on business funding, I think I would lead with this and then bring them in, put 1,250 profit in your pocket, hopefully once a day or more, then do a needs analysis and look for other ways you can help them. And I've used this analogy 3 times now. Terrence will see if they need CPA services. Eric will see if they need insurance. Brenda will see if they need credit and funding. All right, well, we're running a bit long, and so I'm trying to scan through. So I'll just be looking for feedback from you all if you think this is helpful, useful, and then we can give it a try. Now, here's what I believe it will take for it to be successful. Number one, it needs to be done on a consistent basis. So just like our morning Zooms now, and maybe we even put it in this slot. So let's just pretend that for a moment. So 8 a.m. Central, Mondays through Fridays, barring travel or health issues or holidays, but most weekday mornings, 8 o'clock Central, we would have this. So when you're inviting prospects to it, you don't have to say, well, it's some days, but not other days. And some days it's that time, and other days it's another time. Too difficult. Now, Adam's bringing up a great point. You could do this yourself, right? You could set up a reoccurring business briefing, or whatever you want to call it, yourself, and have your sales team feed into just yours. And I think that's what Eric and Veronica have done for their team. So yes, this is a model that you could replicate and just do within your own organization, your own branch. It's just some of you aren't comfortable doing that, or not capable in doing that. Therefore, we're offering. But that's a great point. You may want to use our model initially, and then once you have the confidence and competence, maybe you want to pull out of ours and then have your own. That would be fun. But we'll get feedback from each of you. If we decide if there's enough interest, we'll launch this. We'll let you know the date, the time. We'll get the registration link. You can attend if you want. You don't have to. There's no cost to you, no cost to your clients. And we'll run with it. 15 minutes is key. We want to keep it simple and short for folks that just need to listen on their phone, because maybe they're on the subway or on the bus or on the train or driving to work. They could do fine just audio, but those that are able to also see it but have additional visual cues of what we're talking about. And we'll certainly take questions and answers, because our goal is to get these people ready for you to go close them, to go sign them up. We've explained how it works, and we've answered the questions that they've asked. So I think this will be helpful. So with that being said, I'm sorry for running long. I think this could be very valuable. Let us know if you think it would be, if it's something that you'd be interested in leveraging. Again, no cost. There's no hidden strings or hidden agendas, but we want each of you to be successful. And if we're successful, then we're helping small businesses. And if we're helping small businesses build their financial literacy and access capital, then we're fulfilling our mission. So thanks, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Let me know what you think. Bye-bye.